Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's hobby live stream. Let me adjust my camera real quick so that we're looking at less of my actual camera and more of me, just like we want to. All right. Anyways, I am not prepared at all, as you can obviously tell. We're gonna switch over to full because I have a story. So before we get started on today's live stream, first and foremost, I want to let you guys know that I'm going to be doing a... Why does my chat keep doing this? There you go. I don't know why it keeps, like, slightly scooting you guys off of the page, but it doesn't. It's driving me nuts. Alright, I think I've got you guys fixed. And if not, Chaos Cultist can come in and check it in a moment, but I think it looks good now. I think it looks better. Hello everybody! Hello Sean, hello Diggs, hello Havman, welcome to the stream! Okay, so as I was mentioning, before we get started, I want to let you guys know that today, obviously, we're live streaming. We're going to be painting some orcs. That sounds fun. I'm excited for it. I'm going to finish these bloody boys today if it kills me. And I'm going to, not because I'm going to be streaming super long today on my channel, but if I don't finish these boys today with you all, I'm going to be bringing them on to the next stream that I'm going to be on today, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, over on Twitch with my friend Dave. He is a college buddy of mine who I have been doing a little bit of the stream with every year for like the last, at least year, maybe 2 years. And it is for Extra Life. So if you guys are familiar with that charity, it is a charity stream. He's going to be doing a 24-hour stream. I'll put a link in the chat here in a moment for you guys, so that, or near the end actually, is when I'll do it, so you guys can find his Twitch channel, because we're going to be streaming. You've probably seen me post about it on community and honestly all of my social medias. So if you guys want to continue to hang out with me later today, make sure to check out that stream. It's for a good cause. There's gonna be a lot of cool guests over there. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys will be able to make it. But in the meantime, I have a story to tell you before we begin fully. Because last night, I went to AEW Rampage and also got to see the filming for AEW Collision that is airing today. And I'm not going to give any spoilers or anything like that. But dear God, I keep forgetting that I went to a wrestling show last night. And it left me so, like, I'm just so disappointed. And I just needed to talk about it really briefly with you guys, because yes, you're right. I did have my music up for what the starting. There, is that better? Is the music a little bit better now? Can you guys hear me a smidge better? Before I finish my story about how I'm kind of disappointed with modern wrestling. That's basically what it comes down to, okay? It comes down to, I went to AEW show last night, and frankly, it just didn't feel the same as when I had gone to some other AEW shows in the past, and I'm really sad by that, because I didn't really see any of the people I originally, like, loved seeing in AEW. The Elite weren't there. I didn't get to see, like, Swerve, or Jon Moxley, or Daniel Bryanson, or, like, any of those people. Dark Order doesn't exist anymore. Ali and the Butcher and the Blade just left the company. I feel like there is a much lesser push for the LGBTQ community in AEW, which makes me really sad. I feel like up until very recently, they really haven't been doing much with their women either. And even that's still, like, Toni Storm is doing great. I'm glad Sheeta has the belt. But, like, I personally have not really enjoyed Statlander's run as TNT Championship, because it's felt like just a repeat almost a little bit of Jade's being, where she's just dominating everybody, and like I don't really care about this story necessarily between her and Sky Blue and I mean, I guess I care a little bit about that. She's just my least favorite part of it. Basically, I don't really care that she's champion, which I feel shitty about saying, because, like, I don't really dislike Chris Statlander. I just don't, like, nothing she's doing character-wise is doing anything for me. And her alien persona previously didn't feel thought out enough. And, like, she didn't actually... I don't know. I never really got the impression she was actually that into aliens. I think she was just, like, into being weird. This is just my personal opinion. But, yeah, like, I'm just so bummed with how things are going. Especially right now for, like, the women that I used to love seeing on TV and, like, doing behind-the-scenes stuff. And, like, the lack of focus on some of that, seeing the behind-the-scenes stuff, like, the lack of vlogs that happen anymore by AEW members, I actually miss a lot. Like, that was one of my favorite things about AEW, is because we got that peek into the behind-the-scenes with Being the Elite, which is still on, but is a completely different show now. It's basically, like, I mean, honestly, I feel like half the time it's just, like, them getting on Matt for, like, not getting them good deals because they keep repeating this one storyline over and over again about how Matt can't make good deals, and then that Nick is obsessed with gambling, and Kenny is, like, doing weird motions with a water bottle. Like, that's what I feel like it's been for a while, and I don't know if Kenny's still doing that, actually, but that was for, like, a long period. And I'm just sad. I'm just sad, guys. I'm just sad about pro wrestling because I feel like it's in a weird spot. And I feel, like, really extra weird about it because, like, on one hand, my biggest gripe, I think, just to, like, wrap this up a little bit concisely, is I feel that ever since AEW really, really started to pull in as many former WWE superstars as they possibly could, we saw massive changes in how that roster was handled and how storylines were presented, and frankly, who started getting to be on TV more. And this is probably not a surprise to anybody, but it started just being a lot, predominantly, I feel like, former WWE people. And they're not even using them well. Sean, thank you so much for the $5 donation. I really appreciate it. I will absolutely cheer up. Don't worry. It is fine. I'm just sad about wrestling, and I'm sad that like, honestly, like, last night's show is probably the last show I'm gonna go to for a little while, just because I was that disappointed. Like, not that Collision is, I think, gonna be bad or anything. If you're gonna watch Collision tonight, definitely go do so. There were some fun matches. There were still some fun matches that happened, but overall, as a, like, whole product that I like to consume, it has just not done it recently, and I'm so bummed about it because I really wanted AEW to, like, be different than what it has turned into, and I'm saying I'm gonna cry a little bit later. We're not actually gonna cry. We're gonna paint some orcs now. But I think it's time. I've got my rant out. Thank you. I completely agree, Diggs. I think that it is completely overbooked right now, too. It's oversaturated with talent. And I do think part of the problem that the women's division especially sometimes suffers from is, this is something that I heard early on in the AEW's history, and I think it has actually maintained. If you don't, as a wrestler, if you don't come to TK or the creative staff with an idea for what you want to do, I don't always think they have, like, they're not actively trying to come up with stories for the wrestlers. The wrestlers have to do that themselves. It's something that Angelico and, I'm now blanking on his partner's name, but the Hybrid 2 talked about. And one of the reasons that they actually felt like they kind of failed in the company at one point, like, this was a conversation a long time ago, back when they were still there. And I remember them saying that, like, they struggled because they weren't very creative in coming up with their own storylines or, like, things for them to do. And so it was really difficult for them to be booked, and that's one of the reasons we stopped seeing them for a really long time, is because they weren't coming up with their own things, and so creative had nothing for them, and therefore they weren't on TV. And I feel like that is maintained, and I feel like the women's division especially is suffering from it, because half the time I feel like the stories that end up getting approved or, like, they come up with, and this has changed recently, but I feel like part of it, up until very recently, has all just been the very, very stereotypical, we used to be best friends and now we're not. And I fucking hate that. I'm so over it. I don't care. I don't really want that to be the crux of your feud. whether it's women or men, frankly. Like, neither of them do I want that to be the crux of their feud, because I just find it so boring. All right, orcs. Wah! Everybody awake? Everybody ready? Yeah, see, yes, you're absolutely right, Aaron. Big Swole did say something very similar. And I genuinely, I believe it, just based on... Because, like, I personally think that because of the experience of being in WWE and being able to work and bounce ideas off of a creative team, but then being presented other options, has given the WWE superstars a better understanding of how to present a storyline to TK, which is allowing them to absolutely dominate the rest of the talent, which drives me nuts because I want to see all of their smaller, like, homegrown stars. That's what I miss. I want the homegrown AEW stars to be featured and spotlighted more, and hell, half of them aren't even there anymore, which is so annoying. Hello, Jack! You scared the crap out of me a little bit. Oh, hello, you're very meowy.
Yeah, he's been very hyper.
Or is it because you ate and you're like, oh, I'm so full of food, I have energy, I'm gonna run?
I'm not letting you down, Jack. There's paint.
There is paint, yes. You cannot come down. But yeah, I was just ranting about
I heard.
about AEW and how I'm sad. Can you actually, while you're here, in the office, can you get me my Tamiya brush? Or not the office, sorry, bathroom. My Tamiya brush out there. I forgot to grab it. That way I can actually get painting and we can get this started. Yeah, is it not in there?
Brushes.
It's the big round black stem one. With a small tip. Excellent. Thank you. I'm also going to take, yeah, that one and that one. Thank you. You are delightful, my dear. All right, we've got our brushes. We're good to go. Let's get some Basilicanum Gray, because that's the step we're on. We're finally going to work on the metallics on these bloody orcs. They're not bloody at all. They're very green, actually. They're very green orcs. You are not the boy I need. You are the boy I want. All right, we've got our little orc lad. I'm actually going to get him onto a pedestal real quick so that I'm not handling his paint as much. Yeah, I feel like WWE is in a very similar place, although I do think that having Trips back in control has, I think, done some good things for them, but they're still honestly being somewhat disappointing because, like, the Bloodline, I hated how that storyline ended with Sammy and KO. I will not get over it. I just won't. And it's really upsetting that they just don't, I don't know. It's just not that great. It's just not that great. Hello, J.E.O. Smith? I'm just gonna call you Smith, because I'm not sure how I'm supposed to... Is it J-Lo? Oh, it's J-Lo. I'm an idiot. I can't read. I read it as an I. Like, I read it as a J hyphen capital I-O, and that is not at all it. It's J-Lo, like the singer. I'm a fool, and I hope that you guys appreciate me embarrassing myself for you. J-Lo, welcome. All right, I'm gonna start small because I'm using the smaller brush right now, and we'll go up to some of the bigger areas. So let's do the chains first. And we'll try to do this delicately because we really don't want to try to get too much of this gray onto the green of his flesh tone. It goes through fluxes. Like, really what I'm learning is that wrestling really just goes through periods of fluxing of, like, me, like, individuals liking it. Because I feel like, I'm sure there's plenty of people who might be absolutely loving what some of the programs are doing right now. And you know what? More power to you. But for me, it's just not what I want it to be. And I think I just have to step away from it for a little bit. Like, I'm still gonna watch the pay-per-views. That's really basically what it's come down to, is I'm basically at the point with AEW that I'm at with WWE. Of, I watch the pay-per-views, and that is about it. Like, I'll follow wrestling news, and that's how I'll get my coverage of, like, okay, what are the plots doing? And until I see the plots starting to do something that I'm actually interested in again, I think I'm just gonna have to keep my distance to preserve my mental health on just not getting super mad at them. Because at this point, like, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm just kind of disappointed. And therefore a little grumpy that I feel like they've completely ruined the thing that I thought the company was going to be. If I'm going to be dramatic about it. We've got a tricky part here with the chains on the inside of the arms. I'm just going to be a little careful. I'm also not going to worry if I don't feel like I got it completely covered, because I don't think it'll be super noticeable. We just make sure we get it from this side correctly, and then I think we'll be fine. I really do like how the chains end up looking with the contrast paint, because of the way the colors will settle into all of the links in the chains, basically. It does really create a very nice effect. I do remember Glow. I never watched any of it, but I know of it. Didn't they make a like a television series about Glow or something? Because it was an actual promotion, right? And then then they also did the show about it. I think that looks pretty good. I'm gonna get a little bit more paint on my brush, very lightly, and we're gonna come in from sort of a weird top-down angle. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I'm not noticing any obvious, like, it looks unpainted kind of sections. So in the meantime, while that's drying and we've got our small brush out, we'll do these bullets. That's fair. That's totally fair. There we go. Oh, Havman, thank you for the $5 donation. You are amazing. Oh, thank you. And also thank you for saying that the orcs are looking good. I'm very happy with how they're turning out. I think they're coming along nicely. It's been a bit of a slow process, but they just have so many details on them that I want to take my time. That looks a bit better. Let's get this side over here. go. That's looking better. And I think the section of leather, that's the word I'm looking for, that is holding those bullets in place will still be able to be painted very well. It should be fine. It's very clean looking. All right, let's go ahead and get this stick bomb. I'm gonna go a little bit paler on this because I'm gonna end up glazing some other colors onto this, which you'll probably see me do throughout this next step with the gray. There we go. Get to the underside so they don't have any weird splotchiness. And just a little bit more of a dab back there. Lovely. I think we're good. Oh, no, we're not. No, we're not. We can, holy moly, I left that completely unpainted. There we go. We did it. Everything's fine now. Ooh, Be'lakor is... I've not tackled Be'lakor yet. It's not a model on my list of when I want to paint something big and demon next. He's on my short list of things to pick up and maybe do. But I haven't picked him up yet specifically. How are you liking it? You're not... Oh, you're not really liking painting it, though. I see that you're not liking... So what about... Tell me what about it you're not liking. Is it just the sheer volume of metal stuff hanging off of him? Because I remember his wings having a lot of chains and hooks and holes in it, which I could imagine being a pain in the butt. Let's see, Overlord Tweak, 2016, 2017, I think is around when I think that's actually around when I was really deep into my first, like, love of wrestling. Because I think that's around when I started, like, watching NXT more and all of that. But now I can't remember. Because I feel like it's been for ages ago. Oh my god, I know. I get exactly what you mean, Aaron. I get exactly what you mean. The amount of, like, overlapping, and I can imagine, since he's chaos, he's probably also, like, a pain to hold, literally, because he's spiky. I get that completely. Alright, we're switching to a bigger brush now, because we want to work on some of these larger sections, like the gun and everything, and I just figure it's going to make my life a lot easier. However, we are going to do this in sort of layers. Again, to not overwhelm it with dark coloring, and also so we can pick and choose what we want to have be actually the gray and actually be coated in another color later. But I am just going to kind of get started. Oh yeah, this is definitely... We're gonna definitely want to do more than one coat. But I think this is the correct process for this. Oop, oop. What did I touch? I don't think it was anything important. Okay, good. Just trying to keep the paint wet and moving so that I don't get too much unevenness. Please don't fall off your base. Thank you. Just pushing him a little bit off of the mount that I put him onto. Not a good thing to have happen while you're trying to push paint around. When the model actually starts moving too. Not good, not good, not good. It's okay now though. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna make his head wrap red because he's my flamer boy. Pretty sure this is a flamer that I'm painting right now. Maybe it's not actually. I'll need to look it up. I don't actually know which gun this represents in 40K as according to Cromlech, because they don't, obviously they're not making it exactly like the GW game version because it would that would be copyright. But it's meant to represent one of them, and I can't remember now which. I think it's the flamer though. Like this thing having the little glove for the gun is what makes me think it's a flamer. Because he needs to prevent his hand from burning off with the heat. But I guess maybe it could be plasma? Chicks do love giant robots, you're not wrong. Nice, Overlord tweak. That sounds great. It's always good to tidy up the space. After today, after I'm done with all the streaming today, I am definitely tidying up my desk. It has been covered in paints for a while, and while I enjoy that, it also is annoying because they get in my way. Alright, but we need to take you off so that we can kind of get somehow to here. Okay, that's looking good. But I do still need to get in there. Okay, I think I need to switch back to the smaller brush. Oh, stop twisting in my hand. Get in there, paint. Alright, that feels better. I'm just going to move a little bit of this paint around where I see some gaps in color. It does amaze me sometimes, even with how much contrast paint flows, it just refuses to go into some crevasses. Crevasses? I said that wrong. Crevasses. Aaron, you're right. The Dark Gods do require that sacrifice, and it's good on you for sticking to it and pleasing the Dark Gods. We don't want to upset them. God knows what will happen to us. Well, they know, an emperor knows, what will happen to us if we upset the dark gods. And we don't want that. No one wants that. No one wants to turn into a spawn. That's what I imagine. Something horrible, like just turning into a chaos spawn and having no mind anymore. Alright. But it's probably actually far, far worse. Okay, that's almost painted. Get in there, paint. Good lord. Okay, I did it. I did it. I finally managed to, I know you guys didn't get to see it much, but I had to struggle, so it was a thing. Let's get that. I also want to put a little bit more color here. Because I feel like it kind of all flowed off. Which does happen as you are rotating your model. Sometimes why I stop and like let one section dry and then continue to move on is because the paint flows and then it doesn't. There. It's looking a little better, and then finally on the bottom side. Okay, I am just gonna let him chill. We'll let that dry a little bit, and I'll come back to it in a moment when it's finished. In the meantime, I'm gonna do the other body, who actually has some feet metal that I need to paint first, so we're gonna do that before we do anything else. And this can be darker, because I'm not bothering to put any other colors over it. So I'm gonna refresh my paint on my palette. There we go. A little less watery now. Let's go. Some nice, oh, sorry. Let me, I keep ending up a little bit more over here. So let me just move my camera. That would probably be good and probably help solve that problem. More orcs! Yes, it's the, well, technically it's the same orcs because I've been taking way too much time on these boys, but they're going to be finished today because even if they're not finished on today's stream here, as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the stream, and for those of you that have just popped in and had not seen it yet, I will be on another live stream later today, but this time on Twitch. And, nope, this way. I'm just adjusting, hold on. Hold on. Nope, that is not at all better. Good lord. Okay, what am I getting stuck on? Too many things on my goddamn table is what I'm getting stuck on. Alright, scoot over here to this angle. There. Now there is just a little bit of... There we go. There! That's better. Sorry, it was just really bothering me how much that was in my way. I am now in a completely different position, so I'll need to be mindful of my palette. I'm still in the fucking corner, though. How do I keep doing this? What is wrong with me? Angela. Just center yourself. Good lord, lady. Alright, here we go. Think we're done messing around. I'm still slightly off center, but it's okay. It's okay. We're better now. I swear I'm a professional. I'm not actually a professional. I don't feel like it. I know I'm a professional, but god dang do I not feel like a professional at all sometimes. Oh, I completely forgot to clean up that little tooth he has there. Probably because I didn't know it existed. These guys have so many, like, so I just want to compliment Cromlech on their design, because these guys have these orcs have so many different things happening on them, and I frankly love it. Like, it's just really good. Top there. Alright, that looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and start working on his knee. That we painstakingly cleaned up last time. Alright, that looks good. It's a little paler than maybe I want, but we can always go back and recoat it. Get the other knee pad. I really should not have attached their guns. Their guns and their backpacks are basically what I've learned that I shouldn't have attached already, because it would have made painting them, frankly, faster. Part of what I think has been slowing me down on these guys particularly is not so much that they have as many details as they do. Like, that is obviously a challenge to deal with, in the same way that, Aaron, you're probably finding it challenging to work on all of the individual details of Bellicor. But, like, what I actually feel like is fucking me up is that I pre-assembled them, and because they have these big, chonky, humongo weapons that they're all holding, and huge, equally chonky backpacks on their backs that, like, actually getting to all their details on on the models themselves. Did I not paint his ear? Look at that. Look at that. It's unpainted. Oh. I think I rubbed it off. Hold on, I'm gonna fix that right now. Cannot have an orc with an unpainted ear. Offensive. It's very... I am offended for my orc. He's been shamed. That was a terrible place to put that color on my palette paper. You know what? I just need to move my palette to the other side. How about that? There we go. Okay. I'm gonna just, like, leave him sitting here, and I'm just gonna... Alright, I think we have evened it out now. I'm just going to use this to emphasize a little bit on his brow, as you kind of saw me doing a little bit earlier. And also, he's got some nice ridges in his face that didn't pop as much as I want, so I'm going to use these to emphasize that too. And I think when I did my cleanup, I accidentally hit his little orky lip. We're just going to take care of that. There you go, buddy. Your face has a little bit more personality to it now. Huzzah! Woo! Hello, Penny Z. Our Penny Z. And Skatercast, welcome to the channel. It's lovely to have you here today. Are you at work right now, by the way, Skatercast? Or are you at home? I actually don't know, because I know you work at the game store. And so I don't know, like, are you chilling and hanging out with us, like, while you're at work, or are you, like, at home and stuff? Because that would be really cool. I'd love, like, either way, regardless. But we used to put, when I used to work at a game store, we actually put board game reviewers on, in the store itself. So we'd have YouTube on, but it was all just playing, like, we put a playlist together of various, like, I don't know, I think it included, like, No Pun Included, Shut Up and Sit Down, a couple other people, either doing tutorials on how to play games or talking about games in order to hype people up to want to buy more games, because, I mean, we're a board game store, that's what that's what we were interested in. We were interested in selling people board games to play and have fun with. As they are meant to be. Alright, is my other lad's gun dry? Almost, and it actually is looking a lot better. Let me just get up. There he goes. He's focused now. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. I think we're definitely going to want to come in on some areas, but there are definitely some sections that I want to do in some other tones with some glazing, so we'll come to that in a moment. We were working on your boots, were we? Did we finish your boots? Oh, sick, we did. Okay. That's right, we did the knee, which I think is a little pale. So I'm going to bring back out some more gray and work on that. Okay, there we go. What was I doing? The knee, not his gun. I was like, no, this is the wrong figure. There we go. Yeah, that looks immediately a lot just crisper. Honestly, I feel like the shoes need a little bit of a second coating too. Just, I want them to be darker. I want it to look like a heavier iron. And sometimes I feel like I admit I get a little sloppy with my Basilicanum Gray. Okay, that looks good though. I'm happy with that. So let's take care of the other knee. This just helps with the rivets. Like, doing this in two coats, like two thin coats, just like Duncan Rhodes tells us, it does actually, I think, help layer the contrast paints a little bit better. Alright, let's go with some of these more recessed metal bits that are on his waist. Like, he's got a little dagger that kind of reminds me of, like, a cutlass. Like a small, tiny cutlass. Which has so much orange paint on it. What the fuck? Did I not clean that up at all? Alright, well, let me take care of that real quick. Whoops. Whoopsie daisy. Here we go. Little bit of Wraithbone, and we'll basically just do a double check of everybody, make sure there's no one else that needs some cleanup. Sure, there's probably somebody. There's always someone. There's always someone that needs to be cleaned up. Oh, also, maybe close my Basilicanum Gray. Let's not have the paint pot left open so that I can whack into it and then absolutely annihilate stuff off of my table. That would be That'd be a poor choice. That'd be a poor choice, and I don't recommend it. There we go. That looks better. And I don't really see anything else at the moment on you that needs it, so we'll set you aside. However, I did see it was on you. You had a... Nope, it was on you. Where's that bone? There it is. Little tooth that I missed. Alright, good. A little sloppier than I wanted it to be, but that's okay. I can tidy that up. It's fine. It's fine. Oh no. What an awful color to have to stain your desk. I mean, what a beautiful color realistically to have stain your desk. I love Pterodon scales. Like that is, or the Pterodon turquoise. I use it on scales a lot. What did you lose the entire pot? Did you lose was it one of those cases of it was like a fresh pot and you just lost the entire thing? Or was this a case of like, it was partially used already and you only lost a portion? Like, I'm hoping that's what it was for you, because honestly, worst thing to do. Now, I will say a way to help prevent that from happening is either, and I don't do this, so I should actually do this, but I don't. But what I've seen people do is I've seen people use sticky tack to put it on the bottom, because most paint pots, especially the Citadel ones, have a little like divot, like even the contrast ones, so they got this little divot. So what I've seen people do is take some sort of sticky tack, whatever variety, either the same kind that you use to keep your miniatures on their stands or whatever, and just press it into there, and then that way the pot's basically stuck. Like, it's less likely to get knocked over. Like, you really have to whack it then to sort of move it. Now, the other thing, if you don't want to use a bunch of sticky tack to do that, I actually think I want to try, is getting some double-sided tape. Some, like, that you could put on your desk itself, and then just sticking them there. Because that stuff usually is pretty durable, and easy to replace, I imagine. Maybe you could even have a tray that did it. I don't know. I feel like there's ways to solve this problem other than GW actually being kind to us and redesigning their paint pots. You know, that would be really the ultimate thing that I would love for GW to do, but they're not going to. We all know this. So don't get your hopes up, which is why I suggest maybe sticking it down to your desk. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. I'm so glad that you didn't lose, like, the entire pot, because that would just... Oh my god. Guess what I just found? My mind is blown. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm sitting here, I'm chatting with you guys, and I'm fucking with this piece of putty, and I noticed that there was, like, a lump of something in it. I'm like, oh, well, that's not good. I want to get that out. Guess what it is? It's the fucking pipe. Oh, I just almost threw it onto the floor. It's the pipe for my boy. This lad. This lad right here. You can see it on, right there. So you see next to his big tooth that's sticking up, there's like I put a little white dot of paint that is like next to his, like, I don't want to use my... It's kind of right there. It's right there. You see it. You almost see it. Okay, the point is there was a pipe. He was smoking a pipe. And I broke the piece off and I couldn't find it. I even looked for it yesterday on stream. And now, let me go back to normal. There it is. Holy shit, I cannot believe I found it. I cannot believe that I found it. I had convinced myself yesterday that it was gone forever. I would never see the pipe again, and I was gonna have to sculpt one or something. I'm so excited! That's so good! Okay, how do I want to attach this? I think I'm just gonna try gluing it back on. I need a shitty brush whose bristles I could destroy. Actually, what can I use? What can I use? Do I have... Oh, I do have that one. Okay, I'll be right back. There's one brush in the bathroom that I have that I remember setting aside specifically for glue. So I'm going to grab that real quick, and we're going to reattach this damn thing so that I can paint it. Yes. Here it is. I found my glue-ridden brush. I've got my Zap-A-Gap. Let's get some onto my palette. Just need a smidge. A tiny little amount. That's good. That's good. Alright. I got a tiny bit of glue on this brush. I'm gonna get a little bit onto that piece. And then I'm gonna... Here it is. Here it is. I'm gonna get a little bit onto that piece so that they really bond with each other. And then I'm going to try to carefully, with tweezers, reattach this bitch. Alright, now I just need to hold it there for a moment. Is it attached? Okay, I'm going to take it off screen for a second. I want to make sure I got it attached properly. Holy cow, he has his pipe back. Focus, damn it. Look at that. He's so good. Oh my god, I'm so pleased. Okay. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I'm not gonna touch him now. Because I need that to dry. It's gotta dry. I have not... Hello, Mercurion, and no. To answer your question, I have not watched A Haunting in Venice. No problem, Diggs. I hope Zeus is alright. I can't believe I found that pipe. I can't believe it was in the putty. I wonder how long it's been in there. Like, that's the thing at this point that I'm wondering. I'm like, how long did I have it sitting in there? Because I have not been able to find that thing for, like, a while. Good lord. Oh my god. Alright, anyways. We have some more metal to paint. We should do that. Actually, I've got a good, we're almost at 1. And I'm going to go for until 2 today. So I'm going to take a very short break, grab myself a little bit of a snack, and I'll be right back. And I'm going to allow, this will also allow like the pipe to continue drying, and then we can get back to painting, and I think it'll be awesome. Oh my gosh. So glad I found that pipe. All right, guys, I'll be right back. Nice, nice. Yeah, don't give spoilers or anything. Definitely don't give spoilers, but I'll definitely keep them. Is it a horror movie? Let me know if it's a horror movie when I come back. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to take a like 10-minute break. So I'll be back around like 1:10, give or take. Okay? See you in a short while. Alrighty, I am back. Hopefully the miraculous pipe we found from my orc is now dry, and we're going to continue working on some of the gray of their guns, of all of their beautiful weapons. And we're going to do this, boys, because I still don't want to touch the guy that I just attached the pipe to. Ridiculous to me that I found that. Absolutely ridiculous. Also, hello to Go For It Painting, and also Old Man B. Old Man B, I see that you've asked a question about how do I fix mistakes when I'm painting with contrast? Well, if I'm painting with contrast and I've used a non-zenithal or grisaille priming, then I just cover back up what it was that I need to fix with whatever my base coat was originally. Whether it be Wraithbone, Grey Seer, a white, a gray if you wanted to. I mean, like, there's a lot of colors you could use as bases for contrast paint, but if I've got like something like my orcs here where I've just done a single, simple, straightforward prime on them, I'll just clean up whatever I need to with the same base color and then fix it. When it comes to trying to fix something that you did a zenithal on, honestly, the best option I can tell you, especially when it comes to, like, you mentioned abs, if you did a zenithal prime on some abs and you need to fix that, honestly, the best bet I can recommend is to go back in with whatever your highlight color is, reapply your highlight color to your zenithal to bring that back out, and then redo what you need to do. Unfortunately, fixing a zenithal prime is never easy, and it will never be easy. There is no, not that I know at least, simple way to correct that. But I find that if you at least reapply whatever you use for your highlight color tone, and sometimes depending on, like, if you have the flexibility to do this, like, depending on how you did your zenithal prime, you could even start with your midtone and then reapply your highlight color afterwards, but you just gotta reapply it, unfortunately, and you gotta be careful about it. It's one of those things of it's a little bit of a pain, but it's something that you can do. It's just a little bit hard. Like, zenithals are very fun with contrast, but you really gotta be confident, I think, sometimes, especially depending on, like, what you're working on, that you're going to be able to achieve the look you're wanting. The nice thing is, though, is because contrast is pretty flexible and can take other paints back over top of it without too much problem, it doesn't actually add a bunch of excessive, like, gunkiness or bloat to the model itself, so that you're not losing as many of your details if you do end up having to correct some stuff. It is pretty flexible like that, which is one of the reasons I like it so much. But yeah, zenithals unfortunately are very difficult to correct. And I think that's true of, like, no matter what method you're using. Whether it's contrast paints, speed paints, traditional, like, acrylics, tidying up a zenithal is never easy. Sometimes it's best to just kind of keep messing with it and dry brushing and reapplying your washes and your contrast paints, like, as you need to really get it to where it needs to be. Flesh tones especially, like, I honestly, I struggle with them still. I'm not as good at flesh tones as I hope I would be, but it's one of those things that it just takes practice, takes patience, and takes time. To nail, you know what I mean? Hopefully that answered the question for you and gave you at least some decent guidance, I hope. I unfortunately am not really sure, especially with the zenithal, I'm not really sure how to help too much in regards to giving guidance, because it is a little tough. Like, there's no beating around the bush. It is just going to be a tough cleanup. There we go. That's looking great. Look at that. Oh, so good. It's why actually with, up until very recently, just to continue talking about the zenithal and contrast concern, I actually, up until very recently, did not do many painting projects where I used a zenithal with my contrast paint. I've gotten more confident with it, so I definitely am comfortable doing it now. But at the beginning, when I wasn't as confident about it, I definitely didn't do it as much because I didn't know how to correct it if I made a mistake, and that always stressed me out because I didn't want to spend like a huge amount of time redoing everything because that's the only real option. And it's not that you have to redo everything, but it just felt like you had to redo a lot. And so I never really did it much, but now I just kind of suck it up and I do it. You know what I mean? And if I make the mistake, then I just deal with it and I try to correct it as best as I can. Sometimes you also just gotta let it go and move on and hope that it ends up being not super noticeable. There's always that option too, I suppose. Depending on, like, but on the abs, though, like, I get where you're concerned. I totally get where you're concerned. Because that is a very, probably, prominent, forward-looking portion of the model that you're definitely going to see. But my bet is that you'll be able to do some corrections by reapplying your highlight. Just trying to move my paint around a bit more, spread out some stuff. Sometimes the contrast paint can pull its way out of some of the crevasses that you're going into. I think that's why sometimes you have those little gaps of, there's no paint in here, even though it's very flowy, and it just decided not to go in that direction this time. And I think that's partially why. Is it just pulls away because it's too saturated with water, or just is a very pale color, and so it just does that. But that's when you get to take advantage of doing stuff like what I'm doing here and layering it and making it in building it up very beautifully. Oh, it's based off an Agatha Christie story. That's really cool. Thank you for reposting, Mercurion, because I do think I missed that during the break. Very cool. Nice. I will definitely have to check that out, and definitely do not spoil anything for me for it then, because I love murder mysteries, and I don't think I read that one, but I did used to read some Agatha Christie when I was a kid. I'm just not sure if that was one of them. I remember reading, oh, what's that really famous one that's on the Nile? Like, it's the Murder on the Nile. Is it literally called Murder on the Nile? Now I don't remember specifically. It's been so long. But you guys know which one I'm talking about, right? Like the classic one that's like in Egypt. Because it's in Egypt, and that's why I read it. Because I love Egypt. I think it's so cool. Specifically ancient Egypt. Alright. Let's get a little bit of gray there. Alright, there we go. Happy with that. I'm gonna switch to a smaller brush for the thing that's in his hand, so that we're less likely to get gray on his hand where I don't want it. No, it was, yeah, it was Murder on the Nile is the one. Yeah, not Murder on the Orient, because that's the one on the train. And I think I've read that one too, but I liked the Nile one more because it was in Egypt and they were on the Nile. You know, looking a lot of the orc weapons, I don't think they're very comfortable to hold. It's a lot of, like, just hard metal rods and pokey things. Then again, you look at most Warhammer stuff, none of it looks very comfortable to hold. It's all got spikes and hard metal everywhere. Because we're in space and fuck comfort. Screw padding things. Thinking about some nice ergonomic designs. That goes against the Mechanicus. Heresy. Absolute heresy. What are we talking about? What we are talking about is wanting... I want to play with some other colors. So I'm gonna... No. Angela, don't do that. Don't be a butt. Keep working on what you're doing. Finish it first. Then you can play with colors afterwards. It's fine. You've got another stream later. Even if you don't finish these now, it's okay. It's okay. Everyone will judge you, but no one will judge you. Did they make a new movie or show based off of Murder on the Nile? I didn't actually realize that. Alright, let's go ahead and get the knife painted. Would the hilt of this blade be in a metal, or would a wood tone be appropriate? Because I kind of want to make it wood. And I don't know if cutlasses used wood much. Like, obviously it's capped in something metal. We're gonna do a second layer on this. Also, it might be stone. Now that I'm looking at it, like the texture kind of almost looks like stone. Which works for me. Like, this is definitely metal. Because it's got rivets. I think I want to make it in wood. It looks more woody to me than metal. And these are beast snaggas. Like, my boys are specifically beast snaggas. They're a little bit more natural than some of the other clans. So I think it's appropriate. I've convinced myself. It doesn't even matter anymore. Okay, that's looking good. I want to emphasize this a little bit more to be darker, because it's not going to get any other colors on it. I'm also going to emphasize the handle a bit more. There we go. Beautiful. All right, let's do the other big portion on this lad that I've been dreading, which is his banner. And I'm only dreading it because I know that the paint really doesn't want to. It doesn't like to flow into all the little recesses. So We'll do our best, and we'll probably do it in multiple... Porcelain! Ah! Porcelain could be cool, actually. That might be an interesting texture to make it out of as well. It's a good call out. That would also feel, I don't know, it feels very piratey to me. I don't know if that's actually accurate at all, but it weirdly feels like it. Would porcelain be too brittle, though? For a hilt of a sword? Is that, like... Is that something that often happens? I'd believe it, but I also don't know enough about, like, sword construction of various types to actually know. Alright, that looks good. The front looks good still. We just... Oh, I touched the sword. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Alright, let's just darken it, I guess. God damn it, I'm an idiot. I might repaint it. Yeah, I'm just gonna repaint it. We're just gonna really wet it, get some of the paint back off, and we'll redo it. Talking about making mistakes and having to redo things, here you go. Oh, I can't believe I fucking put my hand on it. Idiot. God damn it. Alright, well, I'll just let that dry. We'll repaint it in a moment. Oh my god. I feel like a fool. A foolish fool. A fool of a took. Oh yeah, I use washes all the time. No, it's not gonna kill the effect of the contrast paint. If anything, it enhances it. Because if you're using, like a Citadel wash with your contrast paints, or even the Army Painter ones, the translucency of a wash is greater than the average contrast or speed paint. Like, the benefit of speed paints is they are essentially inks for miniatures, in my opinion. Like, that is my high level, how I would describe them. So if you really thin them, of course, you can get them to sort of behave like washes, but washes are inherently paler and more transparent than contrast paint and speed paint is meant to be. Speed paint and contrast paint are specifically designed to be heavily pigmented so that you get a vibrant color tone out of a very fluid medium. Whereas washes, because they're designed to be a coating over top of a lot of other paint colors you've already done to help unify, smooth out, and create darker shadows amongst those colors, are inherently made significantly more transparent. And you should not have any problem whatsoever putting your washes over top speed paints or contrast paint. Now, the one thing I will caveat that with is 1.0 version of speed paints can be reactivated sometimes by applying other paints to them. If you're using speed paints and you have the not the 2.0 line. The 2.0 line, from my understanding, does not have this problem. But if you have the original release of speed paints from the Army Painter, there is some risk of putting a wash over top those speed paints, because I have had people mention in the past that they've had the colors lift back off. I personally have not had this issue, but normally I tend to give my, like, if I'm going to do a wash, just because of the nature of how I paint, when I'm doing washes, I tend to let my other paints really, really thoroughly dry before I apply a wash, because I want to make sure that those contrast colors have fully settled, that the pigments aren't at all loose on the figure at all anymore, that they're not wet even remotely, because applying a wash can lift the pigment back out, and then you get kind of what happened actually on my sword here. And I almost picked him up on another wet spot, so I'm not even gonna bring him over. Actually, I can just pick him up by the sword. So, you get what happens on my sword. So if you end up putting another color over top of it before the color is fully dried, you can end up pulling all your original color completely back up. Now, I've overemphasized this on this particular thing because I literally touched it like this while it was still wet and pulled the paint up that way too, like a fool. But that is something that can happen, and it's something to be mindful of. But otherwise, yeah, you should be okay. Aggras should be fine. Like, again, as long as it's not over top the original 1.0 color line for speed paints. Those are the only ones you have risks of. Otherwise, I have never had, outside of the contrast paint not having actually been fully dried, I've never had any problems with the washes lifting or distorting my colors in a way that was detrimental. It was always valuable. The one thing I will say is sometimes if you apply a wash, especially, like, let's say you're using your Aggras Earthshade on a brown paint scheme already. Like, you're wanting to really emphasize that. You picked the Aggras because it's going to deepen those recesses and really give you some punchy shadows in a nice deep brown color tone, you know, the one that you like. Sometimes if you do that over top contrast, you can, with certain colors, cause the highlighted portion to feel a little bit softer than it originally did in a way that makes it feel a little less vibrant. So you may, and this is completely up to you, completely, I think, just situational entirely, but there are certainly circumstances where applying a highlight color once you've done your wash, if this is something you already do anyways, back over top to help re-emphasize those colors. If you find that your wash did make the contrast paint a little bit too dark. You also can honestly I recommend certain contrast paints, and I don't know about the speed paints, but certain contrast paints so super duper need additional highlight colors added to them because they themselves are actually more flat than normal. Case in point, when I worked on my Ventress recently. So I just did a painting tutorial for this character, Ventress, if you guys aren't familiar with her, a very, very awesome minor character from the Clone Wars who has a very cool story arc that I'm not super satisfied with the ending of, but you know what? What Star Wars character are you really super satisfied with the ending of? It was still a good ending. So on this one, I did originally her outfit entirely in contrast, but the skirt portion was very flat looking. Like, Leviathan purple, which is the base purple color tone that I used on her outfit, is super flat. It doesn't really emphasize the shadows and highlight variation as some of the other colors do in the contrast line. So I went back in with a highlight color because I knew it needed it. So you got to use your discretion, obviously. I have not tried the Vallejo Express. No, I have not picked up any of that yet. Unfortunately, I have found Vallejo is, unless I'm ordering it online, and even then, I actually don't see it very often. I don't have an easy time finding Vallejo. I don't know if it's because it's an Italian brand, and so it's all being imported or something, or what, but like, I have such a hard time finding Vallejo products, even though I really do like their paints. I've only used their opaques. I've not tried the Express stuff, although I've heard of it. But I've never tried it before, and I'd be curious. Like, I don't know where to get it. And I'm a little hesitant to order, like, big paint sets online because, having worked in a game store and having bought big paint sets to be shipped to us, like, for the store, I've had some of them arrive with pots opened. Not opened, but, like, broken open. Like, they popped. And, got paint everywhere. And so that was kind of a... I basically, I'm hesitant because of that. I'm hesitant to order them because of that. Because of the pressuring. Like, I think the paint got pressurized in a wrong way, and it just caused one of them to explode. Alright, his gun should be dry, so I can handle him from there. Let's go ahead and clean this back up so that I can fix the fucking mess I made. It doesn't need to be perfect. I don't mind a little bit of molding, but... God, that was just so uneven. Okay, yeah, we're gonna do a second coating of that once it's dried. Because it's not quite as even as I want it to be, but it's close. Oh, that sounds really cool. So people, like, do you mean that they lost their mind because of how awesome it looked? Or because they were like, I've never thought of this. You can't do that. That's insane. Like, was it that they were like, were they just so impressed by how awesome it looked? Or were they like, that's not possible? Is like, what kind of losing their minds did they do? I mean, it sounds like it would work great. I wonder, do you find that doing that to your lures actually causes the fish to be more attracted to them? Because I could imagine, especially with a little bit of a gold in the wash, like if it was actually metallic, I could totally see the shininess being reflected in the water and possibly catching the attention of said fishes more. They were offended that you did it? What's to be offended by? Like, how is it offensive? My God, you added additional colors to these colors? I am aghast at this prospect. No one has ever thought to do what, like, that's, I'm just imagining. This is what I'm imagining. I'm just really blowing them out of proportion, I hope. I use a rattle can, and I do not use pure white. I usually do, for contrast paints, I actually do recommend either the Citadel brand of Gray Seer or Wraithbone Primer. I do find that those colors function very well with contrast paint because they're developed by the same company, and I think they were made and released with the original contrast line with the intention of being used with contrast, and so I do think there is some thought and R&D that went into that on Games Workshop's part. So I do recommend those, although white is a perfectly valid color choice. The nice thing about using white versus, say, the Wraithbone or the Gray Seer is white is going to give you the purest pigment color from your contrast paints without obscuring it by having a slight undertone like Wraithbone and Gray Seer do. One of the benefits, though, to Wraithbone and Gray Seer is that you get either a slightly cool color tone or a slightly warm color tone beneath your contrast paint. And because contrast paint is inherently transparent, it does allow you to play with the pigments a little bit more in that way. Ah, okay, so the flash gets their attention, or sorry, the flash gets them attracted, but then it's the colors that actually keep the attention. I had no idea. I would have assumed, like, I knew, because I'd seen some really flashy lures in, like Bass Pros and stuff in the past when I've been in them, but I didn't know, not all of them were. And I knew there was, like, some people who are, like, real, I think, purists and don't use lure. I don't know. Do people not use lures and just use bait, or is it like always a combination? Because I feel like I've seen plenty of people where they don't have a lure, they just have bait, and I assume that's a much longer process when it comes to fishing. Also, I don't remember if I've asked you this, Diggs. Are you doing like fly fishing, or is this like more traditional? I'm on a lake, like just chilling with a bunch of beers in my buds, and we're fishing for like 10 hours or something like that. Like, what kind of fishing are you actually doing? And do you keep the fish that you catch, or do you release them again? Or does it depend on, I imagine it might actually depend on like where you are fishing, because I imagine some places dictate whether or not you can keep the fish or not, depending on like where it is. Or at least that's what I would imagine. I've not fished enough to actually tell you if I'm being accurate at all. Tournament fishing. You use live bait for what you do. Tournament fishing. Tournament fishing artificially only. What does that so do you mean that since it's for a tournament, is it just you release the catch then afterwards? Is that what you mean by artificially only? Or are you... You can't keep them. It's catch and release only. Got it. Okay. Got it. Have you in the past done other fishing where you have caught and cooked the fish that you've gotten? Because I've only done that once. I've done... So my fishing experience, for all of you that care, is very limited and really, really specific to when I was a kid. Because there was a point where we were in like the Midwest, and we were in the Rockies, and there was like a lake in the Rockies or something, or near the Rockies. I can't remember specifically now, but there was a lake, and there was a lot of catfish in the lake, and that's what we fished and caught and then ate, and it was terrifying. It was also very cool, but I was like, oh god, I was like 8 or something, like 8 or 9. I was young, and so I was like wigged out by them gutting the fish. So I'm very curious, what determines that you can't use the live bait? Like, what is it, a overfeeding concern for the fishes? You're allergic to fish? Oh. So are you only allergic to it though if you eat it? Because I assume you handle the fish. Like, you're physically touching the fish once you've caught them, right? And that doesn't cause you to have an allergic reaction. So it's just consuming it, right? That's so fascinating. I'm sorry that we're, like, completely dominating this conversation with fishes, but I'm very curious. Because I've not... Like, fishing's always seemed very cool to me, and, frankly, I've watched Connor and, Abroad in Japan do some random fishing in Japan on some of their vlogs that they do together. And so it's just one of those things that's like weirdly come back into my life. And I've not thought about it in a long time, but it's very cool. What am I working on? I want to touch this boy up with some more gray. All right. He's got a wonderful chain on his neck. Then I'm going to try to paint. Carefully. There we go. Also, Fitness Frank. Yeah. I just saw your arm. I don't know if you can see. My muscles aren't really like, super visible in this particular shirt, but there you go. Them guns. I have not been to the gym much recently, and I'm very sad about it. I will admit I am feeling that. Because I will admit I've been achy a little bit more again recently, and I plan on going to the gym. Let's see, what's today? Today's Saturday. So I do actually, yeah, tomorrow's a gym day. I'm trying to make Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays my gym days to get myself back into it. So hopefully tomorrow I'll be going back to the gym and working on the guns. You're allergic to fishing? Okay, good. I'm really glad that... I assumed you must be able to handle them because of, like, he can't possibly be going and doing tournament fishing and torturing himself in that way if he can't touch them. So that was my assumption. So it must work out actually probably fairly nicely for you. I am sad for you, though, not being able to eat fish because it is delicious and I love them. In fact, later, after I'm done with this stream, I'm probably going to go and get some sushi. Which I know is probably not the kind of fish you're catching. I imagine... you must be catching... Are you catching freshwater, then? I'm assuming? Or is it saltwater? I never went with my dad when he did this, but my dad's gone bluefin tuna fishing before and had like the purest sashimi you can possibly have straight from a literally freshly caught fish while on the boat, which sounds honestly delicious. But I've never done any like sea fishing. I've only done lake fishing. And actually, now that I say it, I don't think I've ever fished in a... Have I fished in a river? No, I fished in a river. Well, I fished with family in a river. I don't think I was holding the rod myself. I was like 5, but... I remember there was this one river in one of the areas that we lived for a while that definitely we fished from. And then I fell in the lake, or fell in the river, which was mildly terrifying. But it was fine. I got out fine. Oh my gosh, 9.5 pounds? That's awesome. I have, it's a 5-man squad, and they're all, one of them is completely done. So this lad, my captain, who really the camera does not want to focus on. There we go. He's done. He looks beautiful. Look how wonderful he is. This is what I mean when I say I want to do some glazing of some other colors over top the gray. This was painted entirely in gray, and then we did some other layering, which is exactly what we're going to be doing on our other boys. Sorry, my throat is slightly gravelly because I was at that wrestling show last night. And of course, I still participated in, like, yelling and chanting and doing all that kind of fun stuff. Just wasn't the same. Just wasn't the same. But now my voice is, like, a little shot. Not completely, but, you know, probably not the best thing to do when I know I'm going to be streaming a lot the next day. Because I knew I was going to be doing today's stream on my channel. And then we have the extra live stream over on Dave's channel on Twitch, which I will pop a link into the chat here actually in a moment. Because we're getting closer to the end and I want to make sure you guys have that. I'll be sharing it again later as well when we get closer to the event. But that will be happening at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Although the event will be starting earlier than that, it's just when I will be on. If you're wanting to hang out specifically with little old me. And I actually think there's going to be one other guest there that I don't remember the name of because I don't think Dave told me. But he just mentioned that there was going to be one other person on during that time slot. So there'll be quite a few people to hang out with. Chat will, I think a lot of us will be continuing to paint and or working on toys or just hanging out. I don't really know exactly what everybody's plan is, but my plan is to continue working on these boys. That is the idea. That would be very cool. Travel is very difficult, but that's awesome. Dude, that's a big salmon. Did you end up getting to keep the salmon? Or did you, was this a catch and release sort of situation for you as well, Havman? I also don't know what quite determines that. Like, is it just the population of the fish in the, like, lake that you're fishing at? That maybe determines whether or not the space is like, yeah, you can do catch and release, or you can do catch and eat. I feel like a lot of places, I feel like I hear a lot about more so a catch and release situation than anything else. Although when I did watch the Abroad in Japan boys, and well, I guess one of them abroad in Japan, and then Sea Dog, when I watched them do it, they caught their fish and then they cooked it up like on the spot, and they were like, here you go, here's your fishes. And because I think that was part of the process. That was part of the experience that they had done, which also sounds really cool. Gray. We're still working on the gray. I do want this bigger brush though, because we have a barrel to paint, and we also have this banner. This barrel and this banner. So I'm going to start with the banner. Trying not to get too much on the bone. But, oops, that's down there, but it will be what it is. Also, I swear I washed these guys before I painted them or primed them, but the paint really sometimes still doesn't want to stick. And I don't know if that is just the nature of the resin or what, but like, it happens sometimes on resin models more than others. So I am kind of convinced it might just be the resin. I just probably didn't clean it enough is probably what happened. I'm gonna blame myself. It was my error. User error for sure. Alright, fuck it. I don't care if I get it on the bones now. There's too many of them hanging down and dangling on the front. We'll just do a cleanup. We'll just do a cleanup. It's fine. It's fine. Which this actually is specifically why I like to use just like either Wraithbone or White or Gracier instead of doing a Zenithal sometimes with especially troops like this. Because if I want to be sloppier, if I want to just not have to worry about getting some big blocks of color down without needing to fuss about other details, I can, because I know I can go back and do a cleanup stage. That's one of the reasons I like contrast so much, is because I can do cleanup stages and then it still looks really good. So it works out very well. That is pretty cool that you got to keep and eat the salmon. Alright, this is looking so good. Also, I didn't realize these were barnacles on the barrel here. That's pretty cute. It reminds me of all the barnacles on the big ship that I have for them.
How goes?
Goes well. I'm almost done with some of the graying
Cool.
of everybody.
Have you reminded them all about your stream?
Yes, I need to put a link in chat for it, but yes, I did a reminder at the beginning, and I did a reminder just a moment ago.
Cool.
But yes, yeah, we've got a live stream a little bit later today. It's a charity live stream for Extra Life, so if you do want to help support charity and just come hang out with a bunch of cool people, it's going to be a 24-hour live stream. I will not be live streaming or being a guest on it for the 24 hours. I am going to be a guest on it for at least an hour, maybe a little bit more, starting at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. Pacific Standard, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, over on Twitch, and I'm going to get you the link.
On YouTube.
Oh yes, it is on Twitch and YouTube. You're right, it is, because it's Dave Wonder. Is that what it is? Let me double.
Wonder. I just put it in the chat.
Thank you. Okay, yes. So you can find it on YouTube or Twitch.
Well, that doesn't seem to actually be correct. I'll find the link.
Okay, I'm getting the link right now. Because it is the Dave Wonder. If I could spell correctly, that would be great.
It's just on that image. If you could just pull that image up.
Yep. It's this right here.
Thank you. That doesn't show me anything. Thank you. That shows me nothing. Okay.
Okay, sorry.
I asked for the image.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Here's the image. Here's the image. I have it. All right. It is. Yes, Dave Wonder. It's twitch.tv.davewonder, and then it is youtube.com/Dave Wonder. So let me put that right here. It is youtube.com. Where's the dot? Where is my keyboard? Dot. Oh, cool. Chaos Cultist got it. He is a faster typer than me. So that is where you can find me later today, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Either here on YouTube or on Twitch. He's going to be simulcasting it. But basically, it is a 24-hour live stream. Dave does this every year. It is a great, huge, big event. He gets a whole bunch of different guests that are from like the toy community, as well as the miniature community, as painting community. It's a whole cool mix of people. And I'd highly encourage you to stop by, both when I'm there, as well as just hang out, check in periodically, and maybe consider supporting Extra Life, because that is entirely what the event is for. It is the 24-hour stream for Extra Life to help raise funds for those kids. And honestly, I think it's a really good charity. I really love Extra Life. I like what they do. So I would highly encourage you guys to come hang out with me later today on Dave's channel, where we are going to be painting. Well, I will be painting some more. I don't know what Dave's going to specifically be doing. I haven't asked him yet. Last time, he was actually doing some painting and sculpting for one of his commission pieces for a toy rework. Because that's what Dave actually does. Like, Dave is a big, freaking massive nerd, and he does comic books. That's actually where I met him originally. He's a college buddy of mine, and we both went to the same school and participated in the same program. So we were both big comic book nerds, and we'll probably end up talking a lot about that. He's also just a big cartoon guy, so if you're into like 80s and 90s cartoons. Dave's also super into that. I'm sure there will be plenty of conversation about it. But what he also does outside of making comics is he does a lot of like toy repaints and that kind of thing, including doing some stuff for some pro wrestlers, because I know he's worked with Danhausen a few times, which is just super cool. He's also done some stuff with Matt Cardona and why am I blanking on his buddy's name? Oh my god, what is there? It's the pro wrestling. I'm gonna hold on. I gotta look it up because I'm completely blanking on their names and I feel terrible. Matt Cardona, Brian Myers. Thank you, Chaos Cultist just shouted it because he heard me struggling. Brian Myers. That is exactly correct. So he's done some work for both Brian Myers and Matt Cardona in regards to like their toy stuff. So, and I think even he might have even done some stuff for Ethan Page, now that I think about it too. So basically the point is he's a giant nerd, he's really big into wrestling, he's really big into toy collecting, and if you are into that kind of stuff and you want to just come hang out with me some more, definitely make sure to follow us on Dave's channel later today. Anyways, I think with that plugging down and out of the way, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it for today. We got some progress done. I will be able to work on these boys some more later, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. And really, I got what I wanted to done. I wanted to get the gray down today in this particular segment, and I'm going to throw some gray back onto the sword that I had to clean up. You guys don't worry about that. I'll do that off camera. But otherwise, I'm actually feeling really good at where we're at, because we're basically down to minor cleanup and details. And at that point, they'll finally start coming together and being finished, and it's going to be fan-bloody-tastic. I have been working on these boys for like a ridiculous period of time because I've just been putting them off. And it's finally time. Want to finish them today. That's my goal. That is my goal. Hopefully I succeed. And I hope you guys had a good time. And I hope to see you later on Dave's channel. Make sure to use the link that we've left in the chat to go over there and be able to hang out with us again. Anyways, see you all later, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day if I'm not able to see you again later. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.
Thanksgiving is coming, and Rayleigh's in Nob Hill make holiday hosting easy and affordable. Serve your guests a fresh and festive feast and have